Forget the gaslight, I'm taking the spotlight for 43 seconds. Hey everybody, welcome to my channel. I am Raphael and I am here to review season 15, episode 3 of the Real Housewives crossover of Atlanta and Potomac. We start the episode off at Chateau Martel and Sheree's having a brunch with the wrong team, Marlo and Sonia, and surprisingly, we see the chef from 2 episodes ago, the one that Martel thought that he was gonna have a threesome with, she's still around, and at this point, I'm kinda invested in her. Like, I wanna know more about her, who she is outside of this show. If anything, make her a friend of for next season, or at least, give her a slice of Sheree's peach for next season. Do something, but I wanna know more about her. So then Sonia, she pulls up to the house, she looks really pretty. She starts talking about BravoCon and how she had a good time. She was overwhelmed with love. And I believe at some point we saw her take a video with Kathy Hilton. So that was cute to see. Marlo, she pops in next and already she's opening up the Ooh, let me not do that. She's opening up the champagne bottle, and Marlo is me. I am Marlo because I love champagne. It's just something about champagne. It makes you feel like a classy bitch until, a couple of drinks later, then you start doing some trashy bitch behavior. But she tells Sheree and Sonia, me and William, we were just on the phone when I was touching down and I was helping him on his homework. And you know what? The old me, I would handle the whole situation completely differently. But now the new me, I have much more patience with him. And I'm like, you mean the old you from last week? Okay, Marla, but supposedly she's changed or whatever, and I might believe it. Not even 2 minutes into the episode and she's already talking about Candy. We see a flashback of what happened at BravoCon. Andy, he was hosting a panel in front of the audience. Mama Joyce and Candy were in attendance, and he asked Mama Joyce, what are 3 nice things you would say about Todd? And he's already setting her up, and she took the bait and she ran with it. And she says, well, he's short, and everybody laughed. And of course, it was a little shady comment. What did Candy do? Nothing. And, me personally, there's just absolutely no way that I'm going to be married to somebody for such a long period of time and we're going to be on TV. But your family, your mom, your dad, your whoever is going to be constantly talking trash about me constantly every other season on this show. And me, I'm just going to stay quiet about it? Absolutely not. And I also don't believe in the whole you have to respect your elders thing. Like Candy said last season, if you go low, I'm going low with you. And that's just the way it is. I don't care if you're my partner's mom, dad, uncle, cousin, grandfather, cat, goldfish, hamster, dog, whatever. We could still go at it. And we could sit there at the Thanksgiving dinner table, not speaking to each other with tension in the room, cutting the turkey like, do you want a piece? That is crazy. And kudos to Todd for putting up with this mess for all these years, because I really thought that was going to be the final thing that kind of pushed him over the edge and said, well, you know what, Candy, this isn't working because I'm not going to take the disrespect from your mom, somebody who's constantly around you. And she's constantly, trashing me on public TV. And I'm just sitting here taking it like, no, either fix that or we're divorcing. I really thought that was going to be the end of that. And if I was Todd, I would have gave her one good warning before she does it again. And then I have to curse you out completely. Then maybe she'll get it and stop. So then Marlo, in her confessional, she says, well, the streets are talking. And the streets are Mama Joyce. And she continues on to tell Sheree, oh, well, you know what? Maybe Candy should focus more on Mama Joyce and the situation with her husband instead of worrying about me. So then Sheree, she has to jump in. And I notice about Sheree, I've always noticed, but Sheree, she whispers when she talks in her confessional. She says, well, you know what? Well, Candy should also worry more about Mama Joyce and not about what's going on between me and Martel. Because Martel, he's a really amazing man. He's nothing like how he portrays himself on TV. I feel like she should be worried about that situation instead of me and Martel and my man and what we have going on. And I'm like, first of all, there's 2 situations going on. First of all, Sheree, no, we could worry about Mama Joyce, Todd, and Candy, and we could also worry about you and Martel. It could all be done at the same time. Second of all, what TV show are you watching? Like, what? Have you not been watching Love and Marriage Huntsville? Even I don't watch that, but I already know of his history. And speaking of Love and Marriage Huntsville, I had mentioned before that I don't watch the show, but I did see the clip of the latest episode with Sheree on it, and So embarrassing. Let's talk about it for a second. I'm gonna give you a 2-for-1 special in this review. So Martel, he was doing some type of event that was promoting him, and he was on a podium and he was giving a speech, and I thought he was gonna give a shout out to Sheree because his speech was like, oh, I love to thank this lovely woman. And then I thought he was gonna say Sheree, but then he mentioned somebody else next to him, and then he gets off the podium, Sheree hugs him and congratulates him, and it was pretty awkward. You could tell that there was no chemistry between them, and it was just kind of like, okay, like, get off me now. So then he tells Sheree, okay, so I'm gonna go mingle, I'll see you later, goodbye. And he walks away from her instead of, taking her with him and mingling around and introducing her to everybody. But no, he walks away. Sheree's just standing there awkwardly twirling her hair. You could tell that she was very uncomfortable. And Sonya, speaking of embarrassment, she mentions how Drew was talking about her at BravoCon about their situation at last year's reunion when Drew flipped her hair in Sonya's face, which I still don't understand or will never understand why the editors completely cut out the entire scene. Like, we wanted to see that and we're discussing it. So I don't get it. And Sonya, please drop this. Like, drop it with Drew. Like, literally, drop it with Drew. Luckily, we see the resolution of that at the end of the episode, but then we see Drew and her horrible husband, Ralph, heading out to do rock climbing, and she says that they both love competition, so what better activity than to do this on a perfect date? Which I thought it was rather poetic the way they're doing rock climbing, but their marriage is pretty rocky, and it also explains the competitive side to both of them, because when they filed for divorce, I believe that Drew beat him to the courthouse by a couple of seconds, so I feel like that was also planned. Like, they were both at the front door of their house, and they were like, okay, wait. On 3, we're gonna race down to the courthouse and see who files for divorce first, okay? 1, 2, wait, Ralph, you're cheating. Back up, you're gaslighting me, back up. 1, 2, I'm going. They do the activity and Drew ends up falling on the floor. Ralph is looking at her like, can you get up already? Stop playing around. We need to go film a scene over there to talk about your song. So they go sit down to talk about Drew's song, the one that she just premiered last week. Cause you already know, the one that just went double plastic. I'm just kidding, Drew. I'm just joking around. I love the song so much. It's so catchy, but she tells him that the song has 30,000 streams and she's proud of it. So Ralph, he burst her bubble by telling her, oh, well, that's not good. And I'm not sure what type of standards he has in his own life, if any at all, but at least it's something, Ralph. It's a start. Drew, she's not really known for her music like that yet, so at least it's something. At least somebody's listening. The least that you can do is be supportive, or at least tell her, oh yeah, that's good, that's a start, let's put out another song. But then again, this is the same person who didn't support his wife and the family situation last week, and he would rather go to Ross's birthday party, so what do we expect? And then he also puts his foot in his mouth because he tells Drew, we need to get back into this music thing. Me and you were like Ike and Tina. And I'm like, Ike and Tina, alert. Drew, I would have had my lawyer on speed dial so quickly. Like, yeah, can you file the divorce papers right now? Like, right this second? Like, that is crazy. How do you even let that slip out your mouth? And then Drew, she lets some more foolishness slip out of her mouth. She says, oh, well, Ike and Tina, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say that. I thought that me and him were kind of like Jay and Beyonce. And I'm like, Jay-Z and Beyonce? The same woman who's on tour right now in Europe on her Renaissance tour, that Beyonce? Drew, come on now. You and Ralph, both of you are more like Stevie J and Jocelyn Hernandez. Beyonce and Jay-Z, whatever. But then Ralph, he was just like, well, yeah, I want to make more music with you, but I also want to get my hands in other things. And I'm like, yeah, in other people's pussy, but... We then head over to Kenya's house and she's getting on a business meeting through her laptop. Her staff is trying to send her this picture that she needs for it, but it's coming out incorrectly. Next thing you know, she starts yelling at them and she's telling them, what the F is going on? What's going on? Why can't you do this correctly? You work for me. What is going on? What's happening? Like, it's so simple. Why are you not sending me the correct picture? And, as much as I love Kenya, it could not have been me. Like, I don't know. I just feel like it was just very distasteful the way she was going about it. I mean, and I know that people may say, oh, sometimes a boss has to talk to their employees to get things correctly. And I don't believe in that. I just feel like there could have been a different way to go about things. And I get it. You're probably underneath pressure, time pressure, whatever. The meeting was about to start. But what do you think that you're going to get out of somebody by yelling at them like that through the phone at that? If I was the person over the phone, I would have told her, don't make me call Portia. Like, absolutely not, Kenya. Again, there's just different ways to go about it in different scenarios with that. But what was so funny is that she was yelling at them, and then 2 seconds later, she hops on a phone call with Moneta, and she pretends like nothing happens. She tells Moneta, "Hey, Moneta, how are you?" As if she wasn't just yelling and upset 2 seconds earlier. So then she's been booked to perform at a HBCU with the band. So she's going to bring out Kiance, and she wants Moneta to give her new choreography because Moneta is a choreographer, which that's news to me. I never knew that. That's pretty interesting. So see, at least she's doing something on the show finally. Who said that? Candy pops up at the candy factory wearing hooker couture. I really liked the outfit, and so did Don Juan. When he saw her, he was like, wow, all of this for a basketball game? You must want your team to lose. Candy with her nervous laugh.
Yeah, I mean, Todd, he's back in town, so me and him are going to a basketball game.
And then she starts listing out what she has planned in the next couple of weeks for her schedule. I believe some of the events that I saw were Portia's wedding to somebody else's man, Mama Joyce disrespecting Todd for the millionth time, Todd complaining about not having enough time with Candy for another season, and so on. And she also has another play that she's coming out with Todd, and she's also producing it, but she wants to participate in it. So it all goes back to her schedule being super tight and trying to fit in as much as possible. And I just don't know how she does it. But speaking of schedules, Moneta, she pops up, and I'm like, wow, Moneta, she's really doing her rounds of scenes this whole entire episode. You know, just 2 seconds ago, she was on FaceTime with Kenya, and now she's here. Wow, she's really trying to earn her peach this season. Oh, wait. What peach? She came in asking the right questions, and she tells them, so what happened at BravoCon? Don Juan, all of a sudden, he looks over at Candy. He snatches her peach. He's like, oh, I'm the new housewife this season. I'm the peach holder. So let me tell you about BravoCon. And I'm like, Don Juan, I mean, I get it that he was there, I think, but this is Candy that I want to hear about her, not your side of the story. He goes on to say, oh, it was crazy. It was horrible. I mean, it was a wild experience. And I'm like, okay, give the peach back to Candy now. We want to hear from her. Like, thank you for your little 2 cents, but, you know, stay over there. But Don Juan, he gives his explanation. Then we see a flashback that, again, Mama Joyce and Candy, they were on the panel, and I believe they asked Candy, who would you leave your money to? Don Juan or Mama Joyce? Which is such a messy question. And again, Candy, she was honest, and she was just like,
well, I think I will leave my money to Don Juan because I don't think that my mom will be too nice to Todd.
The fact that she could even say that, and, you know, I don't think that she's being playful about it, but at the same time, the fact that she could admit that and, you know, have her mom next to her, and it's, to me, again, like I said, it's just extremely disrespectful. And even though Candy, you know, I'm pretty sure that there's a million examples of her trying to talk it out with her mom and trying to tell her to stop, I feel like Candy doesn't take it seriously. Like, I feel like this is her way of doing things. Like, Mom, can you please not do that? And the Mama Joyce is like, okay, fine. And then she does it again, and Candy's just like, okay, fine. Let me just roll my eyes. And that's it. You know, I just feel like she doesn't really, you know, have a backbone when it comes to her mom, which is understandable, I guess, because it's her mom. But at some point, you know, your husband, he deserves some respect. But again, maybe that's just me. What do you all think? And then Candy, she gives her opinion on it, and she goes on to say,
well, you know what? I haven't talked to my mom ever since BravoCon.
Which I guess that's a start, but at the same time, you know, avoiding is not really the solution of things, you know, unless you have to cut her off completely for her to, and in order for her to understand that she needs to have respect for your husband, you know, again, because like how she says, eventually Ace and the children are going to grow up to see this footage of their grandmother bashing their father for years, not just at BravoCon, but for years. Like, we have years and years of footage of her doing that, and it still hasn't stopped. And again, at what point is enough enough? But then we head over to Drew's house, and she's with Ralph. Their chef is cooking up a nice dinner. Next thing you know, Drew gets a phone call from the one and only Candace from the Real Housewives of Potomac. I love when Bravo shows cross over like this. Candace is currently on tour for her Deep Space album. She's going to be at the local city winery, and she was supposed to be performing with Shamari. Shamari, she's also a former cast member on the Real Housewives of Atlanta, which, side note, that's such a shame that she never came back. Like, she has so much potential, and I really liked her. She was so much fun, and she was funny. Like, she added life to the show, but supposedly she didn't come back because she didn't like her portrayal on the show as an alcoholic. So she tells Drew, you know, Shamari's not going to be able to perform with me. So do you think that you would want to take her place? And Drew, she was excited, rightfully so. You know, this is an opportunity for her to sing. But then the other side of me, if I was Drew, I would have been like, wait a minute. So you're calling me because she canceled. So I'm your plan B. So if she would have never canceled, you would have never called me for this. I would have hung up the phone so quickly, like, no, I can't make it, Candace. Sorry, I'm hanging out with Giselle and Robin that day. Bye. But, you know, I feel like there's potential with this. Like with Drew, Shamari, and Candace, they could make their own girl group. Instead of Destiny's Child, they could call themselves Bravo Child, or at least 3LW. And they could stand for Three Little Wives. And they could tour around the United States, you know, at city wineries or clubs even, or just anywhere at BravoCon and make music together. I feel like that could be a thing. I don't think there has been a girl group on Bravo yet. At least not that I know of. So I feel like this could be, you know, there's potential there. But Drew, she accepts it. She's like, yeah, tell me when and I'm down. So Candace was like, yeah, I'm going to give you the information, invite everybody except Marlo. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So that was that. And, you know, side note also, Candace, do you all think that Candace would be good on the Real Housewives of Atlanta? Like if she was to transfer shows the way Phaedra did on To Married to Medicine? I would like to see it. I feel like she'll have more fun here than in Potomac. You know, maybe she could get a condo, a house, you know, for one season here, and then we could try it out, and then, you know, just have housewives just bopping around from city to city. But regardless, then we get a knock at the door, and it's a bobblehead. What's her name? Courtney. Courtney comes in with this man. Now, this was shocking to me because the man, he comes in and I'm like, I don't think I recognize him from anything. But then Drew, she does. Drew's just like, you're Bryce. His name is Bryce. And then he is also Courtney's father to their children. And he's also her ex, which I don't understand if he's your ex or regardless of history, why is he here? Like, usually it's the husband that comes on with the wives, but whatever, I guess she needed a man for this scene. But Bryce and Drew know each other, and I don't know, is it just me? But the way they were interacting with each other, it was more like they knew each other because they used to fuck. Is it just me? I don't know, that's the vibe that I got. Like, Drew was just like, oh, wow, like, wait, Courtney, are you dating him? Are you dating him? Courtney was just like, no, I'm not dating him at all. Like, no, like, he's like my ex, but, you know, he's like the father of my children. Like, no, he's my ex. And I'm like, oh, you know, Drew, why are you asking that question? You know, I don't know, I just felt something there, but regardless, Bryce, I found out two things. Bryce, I looked him up. I know Bryce because he was in the movie Beauty Shop with Queen Latifah. His character was the one that everybody just, you know, assumed that he was. How you doing? And the other thing that I found out that I did not know was that he was part of a group called Groove Theory. I know the song Tell Me, but I didn't know the group or whoever sung it. So that's shocking to me. Tell me why you got with Courtney. Are you crazy? Is she thirsty? Do you not see her? And you know, something I forgot to mention last episode, that Courtney and Ralph are also related. I thought they were just joking around or being playful, but no, they're actually cousins. And you know, what kind of toxic bloodline is that? That is crazy, but okay, so then Bobblehead and Bryce, they come in. Next thing you know, Drew's telling them that she's invited. They're all invited to Candace's performance that she's also going to be a part of. So then she takes it upon herself to call Candy, of all people. Candy, I think that she's still at the candy factory because she still had on her hooker outfit, and she picks up and she was just like, yes, what's going on? Drew is just like, oh, hey Candy, I want to introduce you to family. You know, Ralph, he has a cousin, Courtney. That's Courtney. Courtney's in the background all happy as if nothing happened, or as if Candy didn't just threaten her 2 episodes ago to headbutt her. She was just like, oh, hey Candy, hey, I'm over here with the boys. And then Candy had me dying because Candy looked back at Drew through the phone and she was just like, so you decided to call me wise? Like, Drew is so oblivious, and Candy's just looking at her like, no, I don't like that woman. Why are you putting me on the phone with her? Like, that's so awkward. And Drew is just like, oh, I wasn't trying to create drama. You know, I thought, just to meet both of you like this, but apparently there's something there. And I'm like, really, Drew? Nobody told you about anything that happened? Like, Ralph, I could have swore that he told you about what happened at the party, since he obviously didn't went, to go support you and your father. But That's neither here nor there. So she hangs up. She tells her that, that they're all invited to her performance with Candace. So they all sit down to eat dinner. Courtney, she goes on to say,
well, I mean, I really have something much. I have a lot to tell both of you right now. Like, I have so much to tell you. Like, me and Bryce, like, we used to be together and everything, but like, that's just the way it is. Like, I love everything, and I'm so looking forward to your performance, like, so quickly. Like, I'm such a big fan of Candace, and I'm such a big fan of you, Drew. But, yeah, like, I just don't understand why Candace doesn't like me. And I'm like, okay, Courtney, thanks. Courtney and Drew are on their way to the winery for Drew's rehearsal with Candace. We finally see both Drew and Candace come face to face, and like I said a second ago, I love seeing the Bravo crossovers like this, so this was very surreal. On top of that, it gives Candace another platform to perform her music and promote it at the same time. Candace is teaching her what they're going to be doing, how they're going to be performing, what they're going to be performing, which is not much, but she's showing her regardless. So then it's lights, camera, action. Everybody starts coming in. We have another crossover. We have Dr. Heavenly from Married to Medicine in the house as well. I'm like, wow, this is a packed house tonight. So everybody's coming in one by one. We see Candy, Moneta, Sonia. They're all sitting down. Kenya looks so good in that green dress. And then Marlo pops up. Marlo, obviously, she's not really getting along with anybody in the group, but she tells Candy, hi, everybody. Hi, ladies. Hi, Candy. Candy, she's minding her business, just bopping to the music and looking around as if she doesn't see Marlo next to her or as if she didn't hear her. So then she notices that she says hi, and she stops to look over at her, and she's like, oh, hey, Marlo, how are you?
Just so petty, but I understand. Marlo, in her confessional, she goes on to say, oh, I really don't understand what's wrong with Candy. Candy, we have an issue right now. She doesn't forgive me for whatever I did to her. But you know what? If I was a man or a chicken wing, maybe then she'll forgive me then. Marlo talks a lot of shit. And you know what's crazy? That Marlo, every time she talks bad about anybody, it almost feels like a sincere compliment, but it's not. It's an insult. So then Courtney, she pops up and she tries to say hi to everybody. And she's like,
oh, hi, everybody. How's everybody doing? How are you? Hi, Candy. Hi, Kenya. Oh, my God, I'm such a big fan of you, Marlo. How are you? Oh, my God, I'm such a big fan, everybody. Oh, my God, let's sit down. Drew, is she going to be performing? Is this Candace from the Real Housewives of Potomac? I love Giselle.
So I'm like, okay, enough. So she sits down. Sonia, she's also in attendance because she wants to extend this olive branch to Drew by being here to support her music or her performance that we're about to see. So then Candace finally comes out on stage, and as much as I was so happy to see her perform, sing, promote her music, when I saw what she was wearing, I'm like, you know what? Maybe Giselle isn't the worst dressed in Potomac. I'm like, I get that I think that she was trying to be inspired by Beyonce, but like Beyonce once said in that song, you got me saying no, 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 no. Like, that's an absolute not. But you know what? We're not here to judge her on her looks or whatever. We're here to judge the vocals. And the microphone, I think it was on, allegedly. But, she's there. She's performing and everything. And then I believe she calls Drew up on stage. And I'm like, okay, I'm excited to see this. This is a housewife combo. Like, I want to see them both sing because, not Courtney. Drew, she sounds good. Candace sounds good. I'm pretty sure that they're about to blow away the house. So Drew, she gets up there. She gets her microphone. I love me. Ooh, I love me. Ooh. Thank you everybody for coming out tonight. Thank you so much. Thank you. And I'm like, what do you mean thank you? No, you get your ass back out here on stage and perform again. Like, what was that? Like, she literally got up there to basically film a commercial with Candace. Like, that wasn't a performance. That wasn't even a duo. That was a do. And that was it. I'm like, what was that? Her vocals sounded nicely. They both sounded nice in harmony, but, that was it. Meanwhile, the rest of the cast, they're sitting down just watching this, like, and at first I'm like, okay, what are they dancing to? Because the song is like a kind of like a slow song, but Candy, she's just like, in choreography. just a mess. But you know, the main objective here is that she got on stage and she felt confident, but she felt a little too confident because she started saying, oh, you know, I'm ready to go on tour. I'm ready to get a Grammy. You know, Candy's not going to be the only one to get a Grammy. I'm like, wow, you know, more power to her. If that's how she feels, then I'm all here for it. But, you know, then the producers, of course, they want to be shady and they put the little time lapse of how long she was on stage for. She was on stage for 43 seconds and that's that. So she gets off stage and then Ralph, he meets her in the back with a bunch of flowers. And I'm like, oh, Ralph, like, you know, so much potential. He's handsome and, you know, then you just remember like the shit that he brings to the table, which is not much. And, you know, then the flowers don't mean anything, but then we see Chris Bassett. We see Candace's husband. He's also there. I'm like, oh, you're here too? But he's there, you know, he's mingling with everybody else. And then Candace, of course, it would not be a Candace performance if we didn't hear him. You must think I'm playing. Reverse the conversation. Boy, you make me drive back. I love it. You know, and something about Candace, she performed that song on Potomac, Ultimate Girls Trip, and now Atlanta. Like, that is amazing. Meanwhile, what is Robin doing? She's filming psychic commercials on the beach. They move over to a private room and they continue cheering Drew on. They're congratulating her on her performance. Even Sonia, she told her that she's proud of her, but she has an issue with what she was saying about her at BravoCon, also putting out that shady merchandise about her. And she unfollowed Drew on Instagram at some point because of the hair flip that we never saw at the reunion last season. And Drew, she was just like, you know what? You coming out here to see me perform on stage for 2 seconds, that's enough for me to just, you know, put everything in the past. And I just kind of want to start fresh with you and leave everything in the past. And that's that. I'm sorry. It is what it is. Let's just move forward. Sonia, she's looking at her stuck like, wait a minute. She was supposed to argue with me back and forth right now. Like, this is supposed to be my storyline the whole season. Like, if we get along now, what happens now? Like, okay. Yeah, come over here. Yeah, I'm so happy that we're putting everything in the past. Fuck, what do I do now? Like, Sonia did not expect that. She expected the whole back and forth with Drew, but Drew was just like, no, it's fine. You're going to be gone by next season. It's okay. Let's continue on. So, you know, but I'm glad that they're fine now. Hopefully, Sonia could put that whole thing to rest and keep showing us more about her life and everything. You know, I want to see more about Sonia without Drew and that whole issue that's just petty at this point. So then they're like, okay, does anybody else have anything else to clear up? Candy? Candy, she addresses Courtney. She was just like,
well, you know what, Courtney? I did hear from a couple of sources that you were talking about me. Is that true?
And I'm glad that Courtney did not, you know, back up from Candy. She was just like,
I mean, yeah, I did talk about you. Yeah, I did.
I'm like, oh, okay, you know what, Courtney? You know, maybe there's potential there. But then again, 2 seconds later, she kind of blew it because Candy, she was just like,
well, I didn't appreciate you, you know, saying that I only, you know, call out a specific crowd of people to my restaurant. I don't like you labeling people like that. I don't appreciate that.
So then Courtney, this is when she lost me because she started backpedaling on everything that she was saying about Candy. Like, oh, no, I love this. What are you talking about? I never said anything bad. No, I didn't mean it that way. I don't know what you're talking about. And I'm like, no. Just like Sonia last week. Courtney, if you said X, Y, and Z, just stand in it. Like, at this point, it is what it is. Like, you said what it is. Don't try to, you know, convert your words into something positive now. On Twitter, I think that she was tweeting, trying to explain a little bit more about what she said about Candy. And I was reading it, and it didn't make sense to me. I'm like, Courtney, at this point, just drop it. Just, you know, drop it with Drew. And leave it at that. So then Candy, she went off on her. And I'm surprised that Candy is giving her all this energy in the first place because Candy doesn't really entertain people like this, especially if you're coming onto the show trying to, you know, grasp at straws or at a storyline or whatever. And she just continues giving her ammo. But eventually I think Drew starts talking to Candy and she starts kind of, you know, beating around the bush. And she was just like, so Candy, you know, I heard about, you know, something that happened at Blaze. And then Marlo, I was dying with Marlo because Marlo knows exactly what she's doing. She was just like, wait, what did you hear? And she knows exactly what she's talking about. Everybody knows what she's talking about. But of course, Marlo, she wants her to address it specifically. She wants Drew to say the shooting. So then Drew was just like, you know, I heard about the incident at Blaze. Marlo, she jumps in it again and she was just like, what incident? So petty, but you know what? I'm not even upset with her. So then Drew, she was just like, I heard about something that happened at, at Blaze, and I just want to know about that. So Candy, she was just like,
well, I mean, yeah, I mean, there was something that happened, but I can't really discuss it too much right now because it's an ongoing legal thing. So I can't really discuss much about it on camera.
Marlo, she gets upset about it, and she was just like, well, you know what? No, you know what? And then she looks at production and she was just like, you know what? No, because if Candy is not going to share about her life, I don't want to be here. Of course, but she's always just sweeping everything underneath the rug. We're never going to be able to discuss anything about Candy. It's always hiding everything. I'm not here for this. I'm leaving. Goodbye. As she's about to walk out, Candy, I was shocked. She kind of took a low blow at Marlo, but I mean, that's Marlo's game. So what do you expect? Candy was just like,
I mean, okay, so let's talk about the girl that you cut in the face.
I'm like, wow, Candy, wow. And Marlo, she sat right back down and she grabbed her drink. She was just like, okay, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Yeah, it happened 20 years ago. Because Courtney, she asked Marlo,
so wait a minute. When did this happen? Like, when did that whole situation between you and the girl happen?
and I'm like, Courtney, aren't you team Marlo? And Marlo was just like, yeah, it happened 20 years ago. And I just looked into that a little bit more just to see because I did hear about it. But apparently the girl, she's not with us anymore, if you know what I'm saying. And that's unfortunate. That is crazy. But apparently Marlo, she sliced up her face and, Marlo wasn't secretive about it. I mean, we kind of knew about that. And she also mentioned in the confessional, it's so funny with this group of women, they always want to pull up my mugshots, my mother, me dating white men. And, that is all true. But at the same time, Marlo, we still don't technically really know much about you besides you being a fashion, person. And, it wasn't until maybe last season that we found out where your money came from, the archive, which you still didn't go into too much detail about that. So I completely forgot to talk about the house that she was making last season. What happened to that? Like, you didn't give an explanation to that. So if Candy's sweeping things underneath the rug with that, so are you. Even though supposedly I didn't watch What Happens Live, Andy addressed that with her, like, what happened to the house? And Marlo just kind of just said, oh yeah, it didn't work, so next. So, and on top of that, Candy, people can say that she's boring, she's this, that, and the third. It's the same thing with her every other season. But Candy, she has been very open and very upfront about her whole life, her marriage, her relationship with Todd, her ex-husband, Mama Joyce, her aunt, her Candy and the gang, like everything. She has been open about everything. So it's just like, what more do you want? I don't see her hiding anything. And I feel like she gave us a brief description about, what happened at Blaze with the shooting last week. But then on the other side of that, we know that she can't talk about it legally because her and Todd said it on camera last week, but the cast does not know that. So wouldn't they question Candy a little bit more on that? Again, unless Candy had a conversation with them privately and said, oh, well, I can't really discuss this on camera, so don't bring it up. Then I could see what Marlo's talking about, again, because we're looking at it from a whole different perspective. They don't know that information, at least not that I know of, but I don't know. So, Marlo was unhappy about that. It is what it is. And then they all kind of just cheered and walked away until 30 minutes after production. We see Courtney, Drew, and Marlo. They're still sitting there. Marlo is telling Drew, I can't believe you. Why are you not holding Candy accountable for anything? You're not telling her about anything about the shooting. Like, I just don't understand. Why can't you say that? And my thing is with that, I was very confused on it. But Marlo, if you had an issue with it, or if you wanted to be, if you want that brought up, why do you not insert yourself in the conversation like you do all the time and just say it out there? Like, oh yeah, Candy, you mean the shooting, right? Like, that's what you're talking about. Like, that's what we're discussing. But why are you holding out on Drew to do that? Like, you're right there too. You could also say it out loud if you have such an issue about it. She goes into much more detail about how she had a nephew, Quentin. He used to be a chef at one of her restaurants, and then he got killed by his roommate, but not at the restaurant, and that's why she's upset about that. And I don't understand it. I rewatched the scene a couple of times over and over to try to understand what she was talking about, and I'm like, I don't get the correlation to it. And she's upset about it. Drew says that, yeah, she's also affected by that because she's also, she has a background with losing people to gun violence. And again, maybe that's also another trigger to her. Maybe she can't say the word shooting because it's going to trigger her. So Marlo, again, just selfish. But again, I'm trying to see all the different scenarios and different sides, but I just don't get where Marlo's coming from. And then she put out a video online, I believe on Twitter or on Instagram, explaining a little bit more, and I still didn't understand the correlation to what she was trying to say. And I feel like maybe the issue that she has is that Candy, instead of actually saying the word shooting, you know, they tried to say, oh, you know, incident. And I feel like maybe she feels that they're all trying to cover up for Candy because they're trying to not taint her image or her restaurants. And maybe that's what Marlo wanted. That was her intention on bringing up the shooting. Like, oh, if I put this on camera, of course, people are going to be afraid to go to her restaurants. They're going to think that all her establishments are trash because, you know, you could possibly get shot at them. And I feel like maybe that's what she was going for. Maybe. And when she didn't get that, she threw a tantrum. At least that's the way I look at it. There might be another explanation. If you have another clue or whatever, please put it in the comments. So then Marlo, she starts getting upset and she starts repeating, yeah, wait, no, Drew, no, because my nephew is dead. My nephew is dead. Drew, I said my nephew is dead. Next thing you know, she gets up and she jumps at Drew. But I like that Drew, she didn't flinch. She was just holding her flowers like, Oh, can you back up a little bit? But did you see the security guard though? The security jumped. He almost grabbed Marlo's wrist because he thought that Marlo was gonna hit her. And I mean, I don't know, it could have gone either way, but she was very close to her face. She jumped at her and then she stormed away screaming in the middle of the parking lot. And Drew's just sitting there like, okay, what just happened? And we're all just left there in confusion. Oh, by the way, I completely forgot that Moneta and Marlo got into it at some point too. Oh, okay. So anyway, so then, yeah, Marlo, she walked away and she stormed off and that was that. And just confused. I just don't understand. And then next week, did you see the preview to next week? Sheree, now with the whole pregnancy scare, like, oh my gosh, Sheree, like, what? And then Marlo, she's kicking down doors and Kenya's cursing her out, like, whoo, it's gonna get crazy. But let me know what you all thought about this whole episode down in the comments. Bye, everybody. Mwah.